But what about yourself then? How, because so that if that's what struck his conviction, what about yourself?
Yeah.
How what were you? Because do you just say, "Well, I play whatever that I have to play," or where did your values did it affect your values?
Oh, of course. Oh, yeah, man. My thing was I've always been a guy with a 5 and 10 year goal. So after Janet Jackson, after Rhythm Nation, I'm thinking, who am I really going to play with next? I mean, I'm playing with Janet. She's the biggest in the world, you know. I knew I couldn't play with Michael. Michael had his band pretty much. So that's when I got into songwriting and producing.
Ah, yeah, yeah. So is that where? So, I mean, for those of us who never got to see the Rhythm Nation tour, how
Yes.
big was because I was in Nigeria when that came out, and the whole aesthetics and the whole it just felt like a massive movement. And I think unfortunately that Rhythm Nation album affected Michael's career afterwards because he tried to copy it and with subsequent albums. But being on that tour because it was a massive album, how was it just seeing the fans for yourself
Man,
watching because you're playing watching Janet and watching the fans? What was it like?
every day, man, I wake up every day since then. I always thank God for blessing me with the Rhythm Nation tour every day of my life, in my prayers every day. The biggest thing that I've ever been a part of. And I'm so glad because to this day, it's still a big part of history. It,
Yeah.
it was absolutely phenomenal. I watched a lot of people get saved on that tour. That's
Wow.
that tour was, that tour was not only entertaining, man, but it was very spiritual. If
Mm,
you go back and listen to the message that Janet was in and those lyrics of those songs,
mm.
like State of the World and Knowledge and all these songs, and lyrically what those songs were saying. Man, we literally watch people save themselves from committing suicide, from quitting school, from giving up hope. Oh, it was amazing, man. We watched people return back to school. We watched people be successful, man. Janet had a thing to where she just had a special place in our heart for the paraplegic people to come and have a zone in place. We watch people who had half bodies come and enjoy that show. People with no legs, people with no arms, just people just got just loved on
Wow.
that tour. There's a story, can't remember, but there was one story where, and it's on the internet somewhere, but there's a story where it was one or two black girls, and one it was a suicidal story, but they got a hold of the Rhythm Nation and they ended up meeting Janet, and it was a life changing moments, and we witnessed it real time. So that music, that album is probably my favorite album ever. With Jimmy and Terry and Jelly Bean and those guys did. And Janet, it was just phenomenal. Um, so to be a part of that,
Mm.
I think that big tour sold out in less than 40 minutes when it went up. It went up for the tour was announced, 40 minutes was sold out. I'm talking about 7 nights at the Forum. I'm talking about, just massive shows everywhere.
Mm.
So here it is. I'm thinking, God, that wow, you allow me to be the part of the biggest debut tour in history for a female.
Mm.
So it was that massive. It was that massive.
Wow. Yeah, I was when I was speaking to El DeBarge, and I said that music that is if you think of David who was playing for soul and as he played soul was being delivered, I said the problem is that our musicians and singers don't understand the gift that they have. That David understood that he sings and plays, and people he was somebody was getting healed. That if you understood the gift as you're playing and having that, and just receiving and giving it out, the audience are supposed to have that impact and that transformation because that's how it spreads. But I think we and it's not about the lyrics, but it's the spirit behind that. And I just my prayer is always that the musicians and singers who have the gifting just let go and just open up and just let the spirit just flow. And you describe that in Ribbon Nation, and that should just almost be the beginning of what should be happening all over the place.
Yes, yes. And that's I can't tell you that's exactly what that tour was. It was a very spiritual, healing message. The tour was just phenomenal, man. It was, you know, can't explain it. I'm just so thankful every day for just being a part of it.
So then you've gone on this major, massive tour. How then did the inspiration to then say, well, let me start working in the studio? How did that just
it happened? It happened thereafter. So after I came off the road, came off that tour, I didn't take my money and go buy, fancy car. I bought my mother a brand new car that she never had a brand new car, and we still lived in my mother's duplex, and I took my money, invested into like going into the studio time, because I was saying, God, what next?
Wow.
What next? And so I just went in, man, start writing songs. And I promise you, man, I'm in the studio for maybe about a 6-week period, and I'm writing some music. And I come across this one idea. I have a song that I'm working on called I Need a Girl, just a demo. And I'm just in the studio by myself and the engineers. I'm writing this song, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, man, this would be the great song for Bobby Brown, Because, when you're a songwriter, you think, man, Whitney Houston can do this, man. Lionel Richie can do this, Charlie Wilson can do this. You just got your wish list, right?
Yeah.
Man, if Bobby hear this, man, I know, man, he is a kid. That was me, right? So I had this song. Now, my thing was I had met Bobby because the first time I met Bobby, I was playing with Karyn White, and we opened up for the Don't Be Cruel tour.
Yeah, because Karyn, I've seen the clips of that. Yeah, that's massive.
Yeah, so after Troop, I started playing with Karyn White, and I played with Karyn White, man, for like almost 2.5 years. Karyn White was killing the world at that time. So
okay, before you go into the Bobby, let's talk about Karyn, because
yes,
I think a lot of people see Beyonce and not realize that Karyn was doing, with the high heels and the energy and stuff.
Hey, Karyn, let me tell you something, man. Karyn was Tina Turner Jr. back then. I'm serious, man. She was Tina Turner Jr. Now, let me change that. She was Ike and Tina Turner Jr. all wrapped in one. That girl, man, was just on fire, and she still is. But at that time, her energy level was on 10 through the roof, man. Wow. And she had the band with Eddie M, John Paris, Bobby G, Michael Norfleet, Roman Johnson. She had an incredible band that was just it was, man, another great band I played with. And just Karyn as an artist was just phenomenal. So I worked with Karyn on her first album with,
Secret Rendezvous and the Superwoman.
Yeah, The Way You Love Me and all that. And then the Secret Rendezvous video I happened to be in, and I was just playing bass with her at that time. And the band was just so smoking. So we did the Don't Be Cruel tour. We opened up. That was the tour with Karyn White, Levert, and Bobby Brown. That was Bobby Brown's Don't Be Cruel that he was touring off of Don't Be Cruel. And we opened up, man, and we were opening up for real. Karyn was putting a hole in the stage. We didn't have much to work with, but every night she would leave a deep hole in that stage where if the next artist step in it, they was gonna fall in. So it was so much fun. And that's where I met Bobby. But I didn't get, it was like passing. Bob, we on tour together for months, right?
Yeah, okay.
So, but after Rhythm Nation, after Karyn, that's when I got Janet's tour. That's what yeah. And Karyn wished me well. She gave me her blessings, and we still, that's like my sister to this day.
Yeah.
We still together. And
I mean, you did stuff for her Gale Storm.
Gale and Storm, yeah.
Gale and Storm stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and this time as a producer, working with her as a producer,
Mm.
it's just been incredible. We've been doing that for the past, 15 years. Dang there, we've been working together for a long time. But start working with Janet afterwards, and then I'm in the studio after the Rhythm Nation tour. I'm in the studio writing the song that I got for Bobby Brown. I'm trying to figure out how to get it to Bobby Brown. I don't know how I'm gonna get it to Bobby Brown, but I know this song needs to be with Bobby Brown. I promise you, man. And God is my witness. The very next day I show up at the studio, I get a phone call out of the blue at the studio from Tommy Brown. He
Bobby's
called
brother?
Bobby's brother calls me while I'm in the studio dreaming about how I'm gonna get the song to Bobby Brown. So now I get this call from Tommy. Tommy says, "Hey D, what's up, man?" I say, "Hey man, who is this?" Tommy Brown. So Bobby's brother, Tommy. So we're talking, right? So he says, man, listen, Bobby's going to Japan in about a month and a half. He's been looking for you. He wants
What?
to know if you would play bass for him in Japan. Man, I looked at that phone. I was like, brother, absolutely. Just tell me when, where. And he's like, man, Bobby will take care of you, D. Make sure you get whatever the money is. But see what they didn't know? I would have did that gig for free. I would have hopped on a 10-speed with a pair of thongs on the reverse side to get myself to Atlanta just to do that gig. I would have been on that 10-speed. I was like thinking, God, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Really?
Wow.
So now, in a month and a half, I'm going to be in Atlanta. I'm going to meet Bobby Brown as a bass player, because that's all people really know me as a bass player. Fine. So I get to Atlanta.
What year was this? So we could put it into album.
This must have been 91.
Okay, so he's done the Don't Be Cruel and all that stuff. This is
He's working on the Bobby album.
He's doing
We're
a Bobby
working on the Bobby album.
Yeah.
He's working on the Bobby album. I didn't know he's working on the Bobby album.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of the Halftime Chat community. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. But most importantly, why don't you consider being a member? That's a way of supporting the channel, but also getting a lot of videos ahead of time, a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and some exclusive content that doesn't get shared. But anyway, thanks for watching, and thanks for being part of Halftime Chat.